Oh, hi there. Today I just wanted to talk about some stories that I don't believe I've mentioned before on YouTube, more associated with the Chicago Blackhawks. I might have mentioned it in one of the really long videos, but I don't quite remember. And funny enough, I actually don't go back and watch the videos I've made before, just because I don't. Okay. So, there is this one story of this mentally challenged individual that I had been introduced to through mental health when I was dealing with them. Now, he was a lifer. He was never going to get out of that system because his mind was constructed differently, and he would just never figure out his bearings or where he was going or what he was doing. And not all mentally challenged people have the problem where it's not like they're stupid, it's just their intelligence is situated in a different part of their brain, so they're not able to utilize it to better their circumstances. Because this guy, he had a particular knack for being able to recite song lyrics. He really likes Led Zeppelin and things like that. And he knew hockey statistics and that sort of stuff. Anyway, around my neck of the woods, he had met Brent Seabrook. And he went all, he was astounded, and he was like a child at Disneyland trying to hug Mickey Mouse, I think. Anyway, that's what it seemed like when he was trying to tell the story. And he told me, along with others, that he was trying to give him his personal information, like a phone number for him to phone and things like that. And I don't blame Brent Seabrook for just taking steps back and going, yeah, I don't want to deal with this. I don't even think he's being unkind for doing that, because you do have to look out for yourself, and not only that, he's got nothing to offer to the table, and you got things on the go. So yeah, those are all factors that make it quite reasonable. And he was content with the story anyway, so what's the big deal? He was most certainly an involuntary celibate. I could tell right away. Like, he was in his early 40s and really, really annoying. He was real irritating to listen to and to be around. And there's just no way this guy could pick up chicks. And being friends with him, you're never gonna score chicks. You have to understand that there are some people, and not just certain individuals, but a whole crowd of people, where you will get nowhere if you're with them. And this individual was most certainly the case. So yeah, he was content with that, and I do believe the story. Because I just don't think the guy was smart enough to tell the story in a plausible manner and have someone like me believe him. Because I'm a very skeptical person. I have a tendency to not believe people when they go to tell things, and it's not much of an accomplishment. It was just, he had the opportunity, and he looked like a bit of a stumble bum, I suppose. I have no idea, I wasn't there. And Brent Seabrook went about his business. So yeah, that's all the story is. I just felt like mentioning it because I do pity the fool. It's not his fault that he's like that, but it's just kind of sad because in this area there are a lot of people who are mentally challenged, and they're just they're in social networks where they're never going to get anywhere. And it's kind of sad. It's basically eugenics. That's a big nasty word, and it's true, it's most often associated with World War II Nazi Germany. But the fact of the matter is that's not true at all. It still applies to today. It's just people don't understand they're in that program. Most certainly if they're not intellectually capable of understanding that. Like, I mean, you get Family Guy jokes where there'll be, there was one about the German game show where it's Das ist gut, and that was, that was a pretty creepy joke actually. And, under normal circumstances, I would have gone, oh, whatever, right? But, I am also an involuntary celibate, but for different reasons. And as I've said before, it's because I'm just too damn good looking. That's the problem. Too much going for me. And it causes women to go a little bit like crazy and stuff. And that's like not good. Anyway, that's not particularly what I wanted to bring up. It's this is a very complicated subject to talk about, and without any actual resources, it can be quite challenging. And to me, it's really a fight for, well, having a social life and survival as a social life, because there are so many people who all they want to do is put me down, and it's because I did make a little bit of a splash on the internet, and some people don't like my opinions, some people don't like what I have to say, because I have various opinions on a whole lot of subjects. And they tried so hard to put me down, and I look back and I go, there are guys out there that have had it so much easier, not just with women, but overall in a lot of different ways. And I go, they're not better than me, they're not smarter than me, they're not better looking than me, and someday they might even be worth more money than me. And I just happened to be in this situation, and I looked at that poor individual, and I'm not specifically talking about Brent Seabrook, that was just the story I was saying to bring this up. That guy, I looked at him and went, he's never going to be smart enough to figure out a way out of this bubble that he's in. And it's sad, because it's a very real thing, and a lot of people, they don't understand. And there's a lot of misinformation, as I've quite often said, and people are dumb. They really are. And essentially, a lot of people are dogs, and they don't even know it. They're trained to do whatever it is they're trained to do, and that's it. And they can't think because they have social construction in their brains that keeps them on track. Usually school is where people learn that, like university and stuff. The difference is I was baptized by fire, and I had to watch terrible television, particularly on the internet, for a very long time. And for some people it is too much for them. Like they retreat, they break down, and that's just it. They get into a state where they don't know left from right, up from down, and it also helps with mental health medication that it slows down brain function as well. Those things factor up. Yeah, and there's nothing I could do for that guy, and it would be not in my best interest at this time to even think about it, really, because I'm still, I'm not out of the woods myself yet. I've still got trolls, goons, whatever you want to call them. They're still hot on my trail, and they're not happy until they get what they want. But you gotta push them all aside, and you do have to be a little bit selfish, and you know, just keep on trucking. Keep on going until you get to the place where you want to be. And that would be the advice I would give to what I would consider, someone who's just a simpleton. And some of those people who are simpletons in that manner are not actually mentally disabled physically. It's more got to do with just the way they've been talked to their whole lives. And it's not actually a physical thing that's wrong with them. And society actually has no intention of fixing that type of problem. They kind of just want them to go away. It's the typical theme that I'm seeing. And, obviously since they were looking at me like that, I was always really annoyed by it. But, I kept doing my thing, and I didn't say too much in front of them. They didn't want to hear it anyway. And, it didn't matter how mean they were to me, and they were. I just ignored it. Because I went, you want to play? Let's play. And people go, well, what does all this have to do with hockey? There's no hockey players that are involuntary celibates. There's no important people that are involuntary celibates. Not true at all. Not true at all. A lot of people go through a stage where they can't go with women because of social circumstances, and it differs from person to person. And I'm just trying to dissolve this illusion that, it's CBC Diana Swain. That's the definition of involuntary celibate is incel. I'm trying to separate those two words. Well, the phrase and the word. Because I got, this guy coming out of the woodwork on my social media going, no, they're the same thing, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, giving me all these accusations, and I'm like, get the fuck out of here. We don't really know which hockey players are involuntary celibates. Probably not very many of them, but from time to time, I bet there most certainly have been. It could have a lot to do with, the Eric Carlson problem with his best buddy Mike Hoffman. I don't have any idea what's going on there, really, like concrete evidence of it. But, sometimes women can be pack animals too, and they can be influential and counterproductive to what's in the best interests of normal society. So can men, obviously. That is obviously a problem. It's corruption. And it's somewhat rampant. It always has been, but it's more like, it's real serious right now. It's swept under the rug because although it's just as serious as it's ever been, people don't want other people to know that. That's one thing. And should, arguments develop into ideological philosophies, then you've got the issue of, well, what if these sides lose whatever it is they were going after in the first place? In the case of Mike Hoffman's girlfriend and Eric Carlson's wife, they've got a whole different set of priorities. As I said, I don't like thinking in that kind of frame of mind, Especially at this stage of my life, no way. I mean, there's some chicks I like, but, you know, obviously that's not the same thing at all. Well, yeah, I just wanted to make point that, you know, there are a lot of messed up things going on in the world, and it's, you know, just kept under wraps. Maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's not, but yeah, who knows. That was one point I wanted to make, and I also wanted to tell a story of that fellow I met and had no interest in seeing again, to be honest. In fact, seeing him again would be very bad for me, especially at this stage, because I think they'd give me a lobotomy if for whatever reason I ended up back in their clutches. And, you know, like, I don't want that. So, you know, we're just, I'm not going to worry about that. And I don't think anyone who supports my channel should worry about that either. So, yeah, to sum it up, I've told the poor fella's story, so his story at least gets a little somewhere. He doesn't even have to know about it. He was content with what had happened. His brief introduction with Brent Seabrook, and you know, that's good on him. And as far as him being an involuntary celibate goes, in this day and age, if you don't have many friends and things like that, and you most certainly can't pick up chicks, most people gravitate towards the internet. So I think there should be an automated system for people who have experiences like that and are able to join forums where it seems a little bit interesting. And I say automated because computers are getting better, or AI and things like that, but it's more that if a conversation on the internet is structured a certain way, people who are of simple nature will not understand that they're not even talking to a person at all. And a guy like that, it wouldn't be difficult to convince him that he's got some sort of little bit of insider information on the NHL, when he really doesn't, but it wouldn't be difficult. And, you know, we would brighten up the poor fella's day. And I don't need that, because I've had to talk to people and they've just been douchebags. I can tell way more interesting stories than them. And I don't need their garbage version of events. And I don't need people, I shouldn't have spat when I talked, but I don't need people giving me attitude on like things that are ridiculous. I got people getting mad at me because I'm collecting more than one jersey. And I'm like, hey, excuse me, there are NHL players that get traded from team to team. They're paid in that sport. And you as a fan are paid nothing. So, how could you possibly figure that you should only be loyal to one team and that's it, when this one team's not paying you, and any players you run into are going to ignore you for their own reasons, and they're not wrong. And essentially you get nothing out of it other than some entertainment on the television and the YouTube. Yeah, so that is a pet peeve of mine, when people go, "Ooh, you shouldn't collect more jerseys," and things like that. And I go, maybe you should mind your own business. I had one guy tell me that, you know, because I said, well, I'm showing that I have a little bit of equity. This is, like, I picture myself as like Vegeta, and I go, "Woman, where's my sand suit?" Anyway, but yeah, I was just showing that I have a bit of equity. I know these jerseys are a bit loud sometimes, but you know, that's just how I roll. And yeah, I was saying, it shows a bit of equity, and it does. The thing is, there's this other guy who's like, well, they got this, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, but how many jerseys do you have? And you're claiming to be a bigger hockey fan than me? And he's like, well, I can recite statistics. I'm like, that's fascinating. Are you an accountant, or are you just a douchebag? Yeah, I don't think they like that joke. But you will actually have people, like, it will become a physical confrontation if you say, sorry there, buddy, I don't support the team this year, and this is why I don't do that. Some people do it because they're just, like, they're bottom of the hierarchy, bottom of the totem pole, and they don't know nothing. And there are people higher up in the totem pole who do it because they're paid to do that. They want to keep people dumb. And it's because they're not particularly bright themselves. And, I have been, I've worn hockey jerseys that were not of Vancouver in downtown, and I have been given, like, really dirty looks. And I'm like, hey there, buddy, I bought this jersey in this city. Why don't you fuck off and mind your own business? Like, I can't even have a beer in a bar without, some guy going, I can't stand that team because some asinine reason. And it's just like, am I really gonna get in a brawl with this guy because I'm wearing a hockey jersey? Is this how pathetic it is? The people are so stupid. Well, on that note, I'm going to keep working on my projects, and I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one.